What's up guys, Kaz here, and today with Season 4 ending and Season 5 of Siege starting, I wanted to take some time and go through some of my Siege defenses and some of the ones that I have used throughout the last season. I just wanted to kind of walk you through them and give you some ideas on some Siege defenses that you could utilize. Now, if you are a G2, G3 player, you probably are not going to need this. You have no problem building those defenses on your own. And odds are you can get these defenses with much better stats than I have. Just for a reference sake, my guild typically runs about mid G1. You can see here that we put a premium on trying to get second place in most Siege matches. And so we are just trying to farm. So mid G1 and below, a lot of this is going to work. And so if you're a G2, G3 player, this isn't for you. This is going to be for the 95% of the community that is not able to compete at that level and just wants to score a few more points on Guild Siege defense. So the defense that I would use on a tower that is not one of our primary 12 would be the Vigor, Cocky, and Figaro defense here. Now this is a brand new one for this Siege season, and we're going to see how it does, but the idea behind this is that I have my team speed tuned so that my Figaro is going to go first, then my Vigor, and my Cocky. So my Figaro I have on Despair Revenge, and I've got him going first. The idea is he's going to AoE strip, hopefully get a couple of stuns. If he gets attacked, hopefully he gets another strip or stun as well. For his build, I've got him on speed, HP, and resistance. And that resistance is just for that little bit of an RNG factor. As far as my second unit goes, my Vigor, this is my weakest set that I've got on a Vigor. This one is Vio Energy. I've got him on speed. Holy cow, that's a 5-star rune. I need to replace that. Okay, so I've got Vio Energy, speed, HP, and nothing special here. I just want him to go right before that Cocky, and I was aiming for around that speed, and I guess this is just kind of where I ended up. As far as the Cocky goes, I've got him on Vio Will, attack, and HP. And again, nothing special on this. I just want him to be able to snipe a unit after Vigor defense breaks someone. On to the next defense. Now this one used to be a little bit more in the meta. This one's kind of falling out. The Khmun Vigor Skogul. This used to be one of our frontline defenses, and as of recently, we have noticed that this defense is starting to slip. People are getting more and more counters to it. If you don't know a counter to it, Khmun, Vigor, and a fast Loren will actually counter this pretty easily. Take care of the Khmun first, and then just focus on the Vigor, and that Skogul's not going to be able to kill you. But when this team first came out, they were rocking probably 70-80% win rate. As of the end of last season, it had dropped probably to about 50-60%, so we don't have them on the front lines anymore. We've got them closer to our headquarters. It's still a strong defense. It'll still work in G1 and below. It's just not as strong as it used to be. So for this team, my Khmun, I've got this one on a Rage build, which is a little bit of a troll build. I just want to have him set up to deal a little bit more damage than expected. I've got him on Rage Focus, Speed, Crit Damage, and HP. And again, I just got him built this way to deal just that little bit extra damage. On my Vigor, I've got this one on Vio Will. This one is on Speed, HP, and HP. And I still need to devil this one up, but this Vigor is probably a little bit more along the lines of what you want to aim for. He's got a pretty good balance of HP, speed, crit rate, and the accuracy, and he is a very stat-hungry monster, but he is a very solid monster. On that Skogul, And after the special, I've got him on Violent and Destroy. Again, HP, HP, HP. And with him, the idea is that when I put him in this team, I want him on Destroy and Violent just so I can slowly wear down the enemy's HP. If you want to put that Khmun or the Vigor on Destroy as well, it would work just as well. So let's move on to the next team. Now this one is a little bit of a different variation than what I've used in the past. Previously I've used Molong, Triana, and Miho. I've got my Triana in a different team now, so I'm running the Molong, Harmonia, and Miho. The idea is that the Molong is going to go first. He's going to use his Reckless Assault. Harmonia is going to do the HP balancing, and Miho is hopefully going to snipe one of the two units that has been dropped in HP. For my Molong, I've got him on a Vampire Will build. I've got him Speed, HP, and HP. For my Harmonia, I've got her on Violent and Nemesis. Nemesis just in case we have a team that comes in and tries to snipe her out early. She can come in and cut in front of my Molong with those Nemesis runes. Go ahead and balance the HP, and then my Molong can come in and snipe with skill 3. So this one is Speed, HP, HP. Holy cow. Alright, so I don't have, clearly I don't have all of my runes maxed, and I still am running a 5-star rune on slot 2. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure you guys can build a significantly better Harmonia than what this is, but it gives you kind of a basic idea of what you can do with her. And then my Miho, I've got her on a Vampire and Endure set. And I wanted to give her a little bit of resistance just so I could troll a little bit if someone wanted to come in and their idea of a counter was Tesarion, that we would be able to resist that Oblivion and hopefully troll out a little bit of a win. I've got her on Attack, Crit Damage, and Attack. And this team, last season with the Triana, ended probably at about a 50% win rate. I think they were something like 18 wins and 17 losses. It's not a fantastic team, not a frontline team by any means. I know a few seasons back something like this was a little bit more effective. We were running it on our front lines, and this team for me was running at about a 60-70% win rate. But again, with these type teams, I think a lot of people have found counters to them, and so it has kind of fallen out of the meta. So for my next team, I've got Feng, Rakan, and Woosa. This is really more of an offensive team that I use, but it is still a decently strong team. They have consistently over the last 2-3 seasons gotten between 50 and 60% win rate. So with this, I've got my Feng on a Vio Will build. I've got him on Speed, HP, and HP. And then my Rakan, I have him on leftover runes. I recently stole some of his runes to give to somebody else. I think I actually gave them to Carcano. But he's on Vio Will leftovers. I've got him on Speed, Crit Damage, and HP. And even without the extra attack power, he can still hit on a defense broken monster for 20-25k, which is usually enough to snipe out a unit. And with his skill 3, he does strip, so that makes him a pretty viable unit to go into this team, just so we can land some defense breaks, and just pure immunity isn't going to be enough. On my Woosa, I have him on one of my faster Vio Will sets. I've got him on Speed, HP, and HP. And again, this is really more of an offensive team than it is a defensive team, but it has been a pretty consistent performer overall, and I think it's really just because of the novelty of it. For my next team, this is a new one for this season. This is not one that we have used in the past, but it has kind of gained popularity, And I had toyed with Carcano quite a bit in the past, but with the recent buff, this is a meta defense that we are now going to be utilizing. Not original with me, not original with my guild, but it is very heavily in the meta, and there are a lot of different variations of this type of a team. You've got Carcano, Vigor, and Triana. You've got Carcano, Eshir, Triana. You've got Carcano and Iris and Triana if you are fortunate enough to pull an Iris. You got a lot of different variations. The variation we've chosen to go with is the Carcano, Eshir, and Triana build. For me personally, everyone builds it a little bit different. But the way I have it built is I have it set up so that my team's going to be going first. So I've got my Eshir on a swift focus build. So I've got him on speed, HP, and HP. I want him going first, and with that skill 2, I want him buffing up the attack bar and giving a speed boost. And between that speed boost and Carcano's speed lead, that's going to lend itself to Triana doing a little bit of extra damage. Carcano I've got going second in this team. He's on Vio Blade. If you are not going to be going for first turn, I would suggest putting him on Vio Will instead of Vio Blade. Vio Revenge would also work as well. Mine is on speed, crit damage, attack. If you can swing it, attack, crit damage, attack would be better if you can get the speed in the subs. And then kind of the trollish part of this team is the Triana. Now, this is not always the build that I use with her in this sort of a team. Sometimes I will put her on a damage build for crit. And the reason is because her skill 1 scales with her attack speed. So when I have her in a damage build, it's not uncommon for her to hit a defense broken monster for about 15 or 20k. So with this build, though, I've got her on a little bit more of a hybrid, a little bit of a crit rate, just to do a little extra damage. She can hit about 8-10k, and if she gets a couple Vio procs, she can very easily snipe out a unit machine gun style. So I've got her speed, HP, and defense. And again, with this team, the Triana really can be kind of a trollish trap unit on this defense. Most people expect her real tanky, but you have the option of building her as a damage dealer. Just know that when you do that, and they find out that you have a squishy Triana, it's not going to be a very effective defense. On to the next defense. This is another one that's going to be new. This is, again, not original with me, not original with anyone in my guild. This is one that we saw a lot of variations of during the Siege tournament, and we opted to try to go with some of these defenses. So I've got a Tesarion, Clara, and Savannah. Prior to that, before we get into that build, what I did have here, and they actually did not do too bad last season, was I had a Tesarion, a Tetra, and a Ritesh. And the idea being is that there's a whole lot of sustain there between the healing and the cleansing from Ritesh, the cleansing from Tetra, the passive heal from Tetra, the shields, the defense buff, and the resistance lead from Tesarion, that they actually could troll out a few wins. Now, this team for me last season didn't do too bad. I think they ended up something like 25, 26 wins and about 16 losses. So I guess that's right around about 60% win rate. And so they didn't do too bad. I did notice that toward the end of the season that people were starting to pick up on it because we were spamming this defense. And so it started to become less and less effective. And so we have opted to get rid of this defense. If you're in maybe a little bit of a lower level than G1, maybe you're in a Conqueror league or something, maybe something like this could work for you, just because I'm sure not a lot of people have seen this. This is not a common defense. And again, I think it was the novelty of it that really gave us a couple extra wins on it. But that one did pretty well for us. Back to the defense that we have now, though. I've got my Tesarion on a little bit of a tankier build. I had toyed with the idea of having a more of a crit build on him, but I did opt for a tanky build here. I've got him on Vio Will, Attack, HP, and HP. And the idea for me, at least, is that I use him a lot on offense, and I need him to be able to tank out some units. I use him against the Khmun, Bastet, and Odin comp a lot, and so I want him to be able to tank out a Vio Khmun. That's the reason I've got him built this way. Nothing wrong with the damage build on him. In this particular team, I think he'd probably do better as a damage build. But with me using him on offense, that's kind of how I got him built. For my Clara, I've got her on a Swift Broken set. Nothing special, speed, trash, and accuracy. And with that, the idea is just she's going to go first, she's going to strip, she's going to stun. You guys are very familiar with Clara, I'm sure. And then I've got my Savannah on a Vio Will set. She is running speed, crit damage, and attack. And again, nothing unusual here about the Savannah build that I have. The idea behind this build is that the Clara is going to strip, the Savannah is going to come in, defense break, push back attack bars, and then hopefully they'll be able to cycle their turns. Tesarion will come in, snipe somebody, and you should be able to make it a 2v3 or a 1v3 by the time the enemy takes their first turn. Ideally, Savannah is going to want to be a little bit faster, but I've got my faster Vio Will sets on other units right now, so this is kind of the best that I can do with it. But if you have the ability to do it, you want to make it a little bit faster and a little bit more tightly speed tuned than what I've got it here. My next defense is one that we did use last season, and it seemed to do pretty well, and we're going to continue to use it this season until it seems like it's starting to get a lot of counters to it. So I've got Khmun, Ethna, and Vigor. On this build, I've got my Khmun on a Despair and Destroy set, a little bit tankier than my Rage one, not nearly as tanky as I'd like him to be. And I do have him on a little bit of crit rate there, just so he can make use of those Destroy runes a little bit. I've got him on Speed, HP, and HP. For my Ethna, I've got her on Despair and Blade. Blade because I was just shy of that 100 crit rate for her to cycle with her skill 2. You can build her 4 damage with a crit damage on slot 4. But I personally find it more beneficial to have that crit rate completely maxed out. So I've got mine on HP, crit rate, and defense. And so I use her as a little bit more of a bruiser. And so people will come in expecting a little bit of a squishier Ethna, and then she's going to tank it like a champ. For my Vigor, this one is also on Vio Will, a little bit slower. This one is Speed, HP, and HP. Obviously, I've got a lot of grinding to do on my runes. So there's obviously some opportunity to improve my Vigor here. But this is kind of your standard build for a Vigor. You want HP, you want some speed, you want crit rate, and then you want a little bit more accuracy than what I've got here. If you can't get it in the stats, then get it in your artifact. For my next team, I've got Seara, Orion, and Masha. Now, this is one that I am switching out constantly just because I'm not able to get the results from this particular team that I'm liking. But I usually have some variation of Seara, Stripper, and Damage Dealer. I've used Seara, Clara, and Barbara in the past. I've stolen that Clara and given it to the Tesarion and Savannah comp. So I am using Seara, Orion, and Masha now. You can use an AoE stripper. You could use Figaro. He was a Hall of Heroes some time back. You could use any number of different strippers, but the idea is that you want Seara to be paired with a stripper and a damage dealer of a different element. This particular team I've noticed only gets about a 30 or 40% win rate, so not the greatest in the world. I'm still playing around with it. This particular set, this is my second Seara, and so I don't have her on a very good rune set, and I didn't have the Vio runes that I would have liked, so I've actually got her on a Fatal set with higher accuracy, with the hopes that someone will come in expecting a Vio Seara, and this one will hit just a little bit harder. I've got an extra 14% bomb damage coming from my artifacts, and so she should be able to hit pretty hard, and hopefully between her and my Masha, be able to snipe out a unit or two pretty quickly. This one is on speed, attack, and attack. For my Orion, I've got him on a trash Swift set. I keep stealing his runes from him, but the idea is you want him fast, you want him moderately tanky, and you want him with high accuracy. You don't have to run him on Swift. A lot of people run him on Vio. And truth be told, a lot of people run him on a faster Vio set than I've got him on Swift here. So I've got him on speed, HP, and accuracy. And again, he's just there for first turn. He's there to strip a will rune. He's there to defense break and possibly change a target for Seara, or to land a defense break for that Masha. For my Masha, I think I have stolen a lot of her runes as well, but I've got her on Vio Will, speed, crit damage, and attack. Don't copy this build though. She has really low crit rate right now, and I think it is because I've stolen some of her runes. But ideally, you're going to want to land at about 85-90% crit rate for her to be a little bit more effective. And with the Orion attack bar boost, her passive is actually going to work well with it, because it's going to increase the amount of attack bar that she's going to get, and it will also increase her attack speed, which is going to increase the damage that she can do. Now, my primary Seara is in a team with Loren and Raoq. Now, this team does a lot better. They usually have about a 70% or better win rate. For this Seara, I've got her on Violent Broken, Speed, Attack, and Attack. And the reason I don't have her on Will is that I expect her to go first. And so the way this team works is that my Loren is speed tuned to go first. She's going to strip some will runes. My Raoq is going to pull both of them, potentially landing some defense breaks to change a target around for the Seara. And when the Raoq pulls the Seara, Seara's crit is going to boost her attack bar and give her the next turn. My Loren, I've got her on a Swift Broken set with max accuracy, speed, HP, and accuracy. And again, I just want her going first, and I want her tanky, so the rest of the stats don't matter. And then for my Raoq, I've got him speed tuned to go right after my Loren. I think it's within 1 speed difference here. And I've got mine on a speed crit rate attack build. I tried to do it on crit damage, and it just wasn't happening at the speed that I wanted him to be at. But I was able to get some crit damage out of his subs, so he actually doesn't do that bad. But this team right here actually does pretty well for me, and we run a tower of some very similar comps, and several of my guildmates actually run this exact comp as well. Now, for my last defense here, this one has been in the meta for several seasons, and this one is still going strong. Now, there's a number of variations out there. One where you've got the Galleon Clara Miho, you've got the Galleon Clara Lucas, you've got Galleon Clara, you name it. It's a +1. You could even put that into a Nat 5 tower and do like a Galleon Clara and Savannah, or a Galleon Clara Ritesh, or something that does some big damage with the ability to have that defense break as well. But I find that the Yen still does the best, despite it being the most known unit in this particular comp. So this team is still running about a 70% win rate for me. So the way I have mine set up is I've got all 3 of them are on Swift. So I've got my Galleon on speed, crit damage, and attack. I just want him going first, and he's going to be on cleanup duty after the if the Yen gets taken down. So he'll be able to deal some damage and clean up a little bit. I've got this Clara on Swift Broken, Speed, Trash, and HP. And again, her whole thing is she needs to go first, strip, stun, and then her job's pretty much done. She can do a strip, she can do, on skill 1, she can do a defense break on skill 2, but it's really that skill 3 that's really the big thing that she does. And once she does that, I've got my Galleon going right after her to set up the defense breaks and attack buffs. And then I've got my Yen to clean up. Now, this Yen is a little bit slower. I actually stole her runes, and I used a variation of this team on Siege Offense with the Light Chun-Li. And I've got them speed tuned within 1 speed of each other. So if I went beyond a 24% speed lead, they would not be speed tuned. But, you know, with the leftover Swift set that I had, I'm still about 15 speed behind my Galleon, but it still does the job. I've got this one on speed, crit damage, and attack. And just her, the RNG factor on that passive is really what makes this defense strong. But a quick note, if you cannot make this defense fast, and by fast I mean at least 240, 250 speed on everything, it will not perform well. If you give the enemy an opportunity to go first, or you just put subpar runes on them, you're going to be looking at a pretty bad record on this team. They need to go first in order to really be effective. So if you're going to run this one, run them fast. Alright, and then I'm going to do one more honorable mention here. And this is a team that is way out of the meta. We don't use this team anymore, but if you're down in the Fighter or Conqueror ranks, there is a fair chance that something like this is still going to work, and that is a Gene defense. Now, one that I've used in the past has been a Gene, a Theo, and then something like a Raitesh. Ideally, you would want a stripper somewhere in here so that the defense breaks can land and the provokes can land. Another variation that I have done in the past so that I could get rid of some of those immunities is I have run Elsharion in here. I've run it with Gene, Elsharion, and Vertihil and have had some decent success with it. But with the Gene defenses, it's just too easy to beat. A Copper Bulldozer team will take them out pretty quickly, so it's not typically one that I would still run. But if you are, if you don't have some of these units and you are running in a Fighter or Conqueror league, there is a you could probably snag some variation of this sort of a thing. This is a completely farmable version of this team that you can do. The Gene can be fused, the Elsharion you can get pieces for out of the shop, and the Verd can be fused as well. And this one gave me about a 50-60% win rate when I ran it about 2-3 seasons ago. But this is not really one that I would consider using now. They at best would probably get about 20 or 30% win rate in mid G1 where I'm at. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video. If you have a team that you like using, drop it down in the comments below. Or if you have any ideas of any improvements that can be made on these defenses, let me know. If you've enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you subscribed and dropped a like on the video. And until next time, peace out.